here we are. Going to be talking about the NFC South today, the worst division in football. And I'm kind of dreading this, but it's something that we're going to do. And like I said, the best way to get this podcast out is for people to spread it. You know, tell your friend, your mom, your cousin, your brother, whoever it is that you want to tell those people, maybe your asshole neighbor whose kids can't stay off your lawn. Tell him. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. He'll probably give you the middle finger, but it is what it is, right? We're going to be kicking it off here. The Atlanta Falcons. To me, this is a team that has potential to be good, and they have flashes of it, but it hasn't really worked too well for them. They extended Matt Ryan this year. They gave him $150 million. They are trusting him. You know, he's entering his prime. Matt Ryan's shown he's a great quarterback. Their offensive line is non-existent. It is a bag of chips. That's been one of the key problems with Matt Ryan, is that he has not had the support, so he was running for his life, throwing off of his back foot. Those are the type of things that, you know, are really screwing up the Falcons, I think. And I think that they need to really, for this team, because when they have a line that protects them, the Falcons are usually generally in the playoffs. Running back, they have Devontae Freeman. You know, he's a good running back. He didn't play much last year. He only played 2 games last year. The running game was really non-existent, and the guys they had coming up didn't do much. Tight end Austin Hooper, he was a big playmaker this past season, as well as their other offensive targets and offensive players. You can expect him to be back. Mohamed Sanu, you know, went to Rutgers. You know, everybody likes to say when players locally have gone to a location that is closer. He was good last year. They also had Calvin Ridley. He was a touchdown machine. He was being mentored by their top dog as a receiver. Obviously, I'm talking about the monstrous Julio Jones, who is arguably one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the NFL. Was caught for over 1,600 yards last year. And Julio Jones was very, and always is, very important to the Falcons. And he said that he had a tweet earlier that he was going to go for 3,000 yards. That's not going to happen. 1,900 was the record set by, I want to say, Calvin Johnson. So, you know, this is a wide receiver team. They're built a lot on wide receivers, so their receiving core is extremely strong. Defensive line, the Atlanta Falcons, they had Grady Jarrett, who is a 5th-round pick. He's going to be lethal. That's what they believe that he's going to be. Vic Beasley Jr., he's going to need some improvement. He had 15.5 sacks 2 years ago, and in the last 2 seasons, only 10.5. So they're going to need him to generate and step up his stuff. As far as linebackers go, Deion Jones he did have a broken foot this past season, but he's coming back, and he did come back from a broken foot and was very important to the Falcons. So they're going to look to continue to see some stuff from him. Also for linebackers, Foyset Olakun, I don't even know if I said his name right. He had 91 tackles last year. And, you know, DeAndre Campbell as well has been quality for them, so they're going to look to try to generally build on that. Their secondary, Desmond Trufant and Keanu Neal didn't really play much last year. That is something they have to work on. You know, the Falcons are kind of... it's really hard. I don't really see them doing much. They have offensive weapons. They are loaded at wide receiver. They have tight ends as well. They have Matt Ryan. Their offensive line is the most crucial thing, I think, for the Atlanta Falcons, because without their offensive line, you've seen how important the offensive line is. If you can't protect the quarterback, it doesn't give him time to throw, and it doesn't give him time to think, and that causes interceptions, fumbles, and sacks, and it ruins the whole emphasis of it. So the Falcons we're gonna see what they have to offer from that standpoint, but I think that that's the most important thing for them is working that line back into play. Cam Newton hasn't been talking shit, mainly because he has no reason to do so, because his team is struggling a little bit. Cam Newton is a very good quarterback. He didn't really play last year, and I think part of that problem was because he was throwing the ball 5,000 times a game, and he was throwing it so hard, and it did hurt his arm, and I know he did end up having surgery on that. through the season. But when Cam Newton's on the field, and no doubt about it, elevates the Panthers to a whole new level. Running backs. Christian McCaffrey is an absolute beast. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year, and he had 867 receiving yards, and I don't think this should be the case, for whatever reason it is. He was their best receiver on the team, but Christian McCaffrey's workload was extensive, and I think that as a running back, you need to work, but you want to have your workload be as so much. It's going to have to be cut back. I think Christian McCaffrey was kind of carrying this offense a little bit, especially when Newton did go down, but he is a phenomenal player in running back as well, and that is something that they're going to utilize and look more from him coming up in this upcoming season. Their receivers, DJ Moore's coming back for his second year. Torrey Smith, Jerry's right as well. And I think two key components here is that they did pick up Chris Hogan this past offseason, and Chris Hogan to me is a very underrated wide receiver. I think that Chris Hogan is, he was great. He was good on the Bills. He was, Tom Brady was turning him into a superstar like New England does. And also Greg Olsen, one of the best tight ends in the league, but the guy doesn't stay on the field, and that's a problem. He played only 9 games last year, so they're going to have to look for him to come back and help bolster this receiving core that's a little bit in shambles, not too much. Defensive line, they have got big names, but they're not doing big things. Dante Poe, Kawhi Short, they got to improve this past season, but they did get Burns and Bruce Irving as well, so that's going to kind of inject a pass rush into the team. Their linebackers, Thomas Davis is not coming back, and that's going to hurt the Panthers a little bit. I want to say he played 10 seasons for Carolina. So him not coming back, but Shaq Thompson was a rookie last year. They're going to have him put right into the fold. And he's going to be helping out the man of the hour every hour. That is Luke Kuechly, one of the best middle linebackers on the field and one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. So their linebacking crew is going to try to work things through, and they should be extensively well this season. Their secondary is not so bad either. They got James Bradbury coming back. Eric Reed signed him to 3 years. But they do got some questions. They're kind of looking for a nickel and a free safety kind of defensive player. So the Panthers are going to be looking for that as well. I don't really think this team's really going to do much at all this coming season. Like I said, Cam Newton comes back and plays the way. They're definitely going to improve, but I'm not looking for the Panthers to really send shockwaves throughout the NFL. Lord have mercy. Oh, this team sucks. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, there's one thing that can help this team out, and that's Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is going to be coaching this team into the upcoming season. Bruce Arians has a 49-30 record as a head coach, and 49-30-1, I believe. I don't know what the one tie was, but Bruce Arians is a fantastic coach and has been. So I think when you bring a coach in that can do a lot for an NFL team, especially the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who need some help. Jameis Winston, I don't think he's the guy for this team. I really don't, because he's constantly getting himself into problems, whether it's suspensions or he's just not playing the way he should be. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I like to call it Fitzmagic, like everyone else does. Fitzmagic ran wild in the NFL for a short period last year following his suspension. Ryan Fitzpatrick was lighting up the NFL. Sold on him, and I never really was. I did think that his wide receivers made him look a little bit better than he was. That's catch for this team. Peyton Barber, he rushed for good yards last year. He had 871 yards, but his yards per carry was a little bit low, and the man that was back, the running backs that were behind him, Andre Ellington did not play at all last year, and RJ needs to improve as well. He 1 point yard. Ron Jones II, he needs to improve as well. He had 1.9 yards per carry last year, and I personally believe that I could do better than that. So that is 1 point yards per carry. That is bad. That is very bad. They lost to Deshaun Jackson, and they gave him a we miss you card on the way back. Deshaun Jackson was lost from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Adam Humphries is 2, thank you, as Tennessee Titans will gladly take that. They have the all-star in Mike Evans. Their tight ends are very lethal. They have OJ as well as Cameron Brate, OJ Howard that is, and Cameron Brate. They combined for 23 touchdowns last year, so they have a lethal tight end unit, and they have still a good wide receiver unit. So we're not quite sure who the quarterback situation is in Tampa, but I would expect that they would be fairly set on probably Winston, and their receiving core has always been very good. Their defensive line, also good. Pierre-Paul was a gift from God, I think, from the Giants. 12.5 sacks last year. Vita Vea did not play a full season, but when he played, he was good. Gerald McCoy, I don't know what the hell you're going to get from him, but we'll see. He's made 6 Pro Bowls, so he's good, but you're going to need some backers. They got a blitz nation going on here. Levante David is coming back. We all know what he can do. They drafted Devin White at the 5th pick this year, if I am correct, and they have a lot of potential they see in him. So I think that their linebackers is going to be very strong, and their defensive line is going to be good as well. So the Buccaneers defense is going to be something that's going to really kind of propel this team a little bit. Their secondary was almost non-existent. You know what it is, a bag of chips. They gave up 34 touchdowns last year, and this team is going to need a lot of help. Their secondary is non-existent, so they're going to get torched on long passes. So when they play, I don't know if they do, but if Tampa Bay plays a team like Cleveland or a team like New Orleans, they are going to give up a lot of touchdowns because they cannot prevent the deep threats, guys like Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas when they play New Orleans. So that is something that they're definitely going to have to work on. Their secondary is their weakest part, I do believe, about this team, and I think that that's something they need to improve if they're going to do anything. Bruce Arians could be a big help. The question is, will he be a big help? I'm not so sure. I think this team's going to be pretty bad in the next upcoming season. There's a lot of that he needs to work on. But not least, you see the smile cracking because we're going to be talking about some good stuff here. Personally, if this pass interference was not called last year, I think that this team was going to hold up a Lombardi trophy. Drew Brees, once again, was going to be taking his kids to Disney World. The New Orleans Saints, I saved them for last because I think they're clearly the best team in this disastrous division, and I do say that you can hear it here now, folks. I do think they're going to win the Super Bowl this upcoming season. I think they're leaps and bounds one of the best well-rounded teams in the NFL. They're maybe not the best NFL team on paper, but this team is going to be fantastic this upcoming season. They got Sean Payton coming back, his 13th season. He's been a fantastic coach for the New Orleans Saints from start to finish, and he is the passing yards all-time leader, touchdown passes all-time leader, and the Super Bowl #2 is all but his. Drew Brees, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and I put him right behind Tom Brady as the best quarterbacks in the league. And I'm sorry for all you Green Bay Packer lovers who love to make out with the Aaron Rodgers posters before bed. Aaron Rodgers is not the second best quarterback in the league. I think Drew Brees is coming back. He's ready for another Super Bowl. The team's built for another Super Bowl. This is the team to put your money on. Alvin Kamara, fantastic running back. He can rush, he can catch, he can do all of it. So you got Drew Brees, you got Alvin Kamara, who's been a fantastic running back. He did fantastic last year for this team. Let's go to receivers, and the rich keep getting richer. It just gets better from here. Michael Thomas, one of the best receivers in the NFL. He had 125 catches last year. But this team is not all rainbows. Michael Thomas, and then what? That's the problem. Ted Ginn Jr. was injured last season. He didn't play much of last season. But Jared Cook, who is another tight end that I think is underrated in the league. Jared Cook was signed as a free agent, used to play for the Raiders. I want to say he played for Green Bay, but I can't confirm that. That might help him out a little bit. He's got that veteran presence. and I think that he's going to assist this team, who is absolutely stacked on the offensive side of things. So it does hurt this team's line a little bit, but they've got some of the names that can come and back up. Like I said, Drew Brees is so quick and so accurate that with quarterbacks like that, your offensive line is important, but you don't need a half an hour to throw the damn ball. Their defensive line, they got Marcus Davenport, who they drafted, along with the beast himself, Cameron Jordan, coming back. I think the defensive line is going to be a little bit of a threat to the team's offense there. Their linebackers, Demario Davis was solid. Last but not least, this team's secondary. Eli Apple was a bag of chips on the Giants, but he was proved to be solid while he was on the Saints. He's going to be working with Marshall and Lattimore, and these teams are going to be picking footballs like pumpkins during Halloween season. So this is the team of the division is the New Orleans Saints. That's the team you want to put your money on, and if you want to go as far to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, I'm going to go there as well. But there are some more teams that I'm going to get to throughout these reviews that are going to give the Saints a little bit of a run for their money. So after this, there's one more division, that is the NFC West. I want to say that is the Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams. That's going to be the next one that's reviewed, and then we're going to move to the AFC. We're going to get that knocked out, and then to look forward to soon, maybe might be some NBA reviews, and that's when things are going to get a little bit more exciting, and then some gaming as well. And typically during my gaming, I expect to have a little bit more high energy and be a little bit out of sorts. I'm being a little bit more calm here, but yeah, that's really it. This division is a bag of chips. The Saints, this is all but theirs, as well as the Super Bowl. So thanks for watching, and I would put your money on the Saints.